everyone. Welcome to part 3 of the video.
Hello.
We're still with Dr. George here. Again, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
I have the yin-yang diagram, and in part 3 we're going to be talking about repairing with marital relations, with specific focus on marital relationship. So if you are in a dating relationship or a live-in, this will apply to you as well. And we're going to be talking about your relationship with your spouse. Our previous sessions included evaluating your relationship and your relationship with yourself. So if you haven't checked those out, please do so. Dr. George.
Hello. So we're coming back to this diagram of self and other, the yin-yang of relationship. In the previous video, we talked about how being overly self-focused or overly other-focused in a relationship can lead to pitfalls. And so in this video, we're going to, in the previous video, we'd also talked about how you can take some steps to self-soothe. In this video, we're going to talk about repair for the most part, because you can effect a repair in a relationship by talking to each other. Also, you were talking earlier when we were talking to each other about love languages. So that can also kind of have a part to play. Mm-hmm. We talked about the 5 love languages. One being
quality time.
The quality time. So it's the time, the kind of time that you spend with each other, and whether for some couples that is very energizing and that is very soothing for the relationship. The next one is service.
Acts of service.
Acts of service. So being able to serve each other gives that couple a lot of sense of well-being.
I think that's how do you serve? Like taking on chores when one partner is stressed, things like that would also count as acts of service, not necessarily being in a service organization together. Right. I was a little confused about that, so I thought I would clarify. I thought it was maybe doing service together.
Right. But it's actually serving each other.
Right. I was a little confused about that.
And also, I want to clarify that both partners may not have the same love language. So so let's just go through the 5 love languages, and then you'll see how when each partner comes from a different orientation, sometimes that can lead to conflict.
It can. It definitely can.
And sometimes it can be like, oh, I get where you're coming from, so I can figure it out. Now we know that we just speak slightly different languages. The third is what was it?
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. So being able to hear, "Hey, honey, I love you," or "I really love that you cooked me this really great meal. That really made a big difference for me."
Or even "I'm proud of you."
Or "I'm proud of you." Or I see you, I recognize you. Those kinds of words of affirmation that make a partner feel good. And the fourth is
physical touch.
Physical touch. I'm glad you remember all of that because I'm blanking on it.
Physical touch and gift giving.
Yes. So some people like physical touch because it's a way of being seen and being affirmed through physical touch rather than through auditory means. And for others, it's about giving a gift that makes that person feel valued. So I think that feeling valued is really at the bottom of all these love languages. So you feel valued, you feel seen, you feel recognized, you feel affirmed through certain means. And of course, most of us have just one love language, and I have a multitude of them. Right. But for some of us, it might be that one love language kind of predominates over a landscape of other love languages. So maybe you have a couple where one person loves being in this kind of service role. So being able to cook a good meal or being able to be a provider is something that fits with their schema of showing their love. But the other person who wants a lot of words of affirmation or who wants physical touch might be like, what, you're giving me a gift? What? But it's not.
You haven't spoken to me for a week and then you hand me this? Why?
Don't expect any favors. Right? And this person would have spent a lot of time buying that gift because that person likes gift giving as a love language. But this person likes physical touch as a love language, or being able to spend quality time as a love language. So the two go at cross purposes with each other because they haven't really had a chat with each other about, hey, what do you like? What rocks your boat? Or what floats your boat? You know, and then being able to give that person the kind of gift they want, whether it's physical touch or actual gift or affirmation or quality time or service. So, so in effecting a repair, it might help to take a look
To
at
know
love languages, or even if you don't even think about using love languages as a kind of a metaphor to guide your relationship, you might think about, you know, being able to just talk to each other about difficulties. Is it easy to talk to each other about difficulties? If it is not easy to talk about it, what is the hang-up? You know, what are some of the barriers to talking? Sometimes it's in that area that you might need some help, because you might need some third person, such as a relationship coach or a marriage and family therapist or a psychologist, to be able to be that kind of referee. Because if you're trying to talk but you end up fighting and you're going in circles, then it suggests that, you know, you've kind of lost your way a little bit.
Do a lot of couples who come to you, are they usually fighting in your office?
Yeah. And then we figure out how to come back to common ground. Because oftentimes it's the fight is just so heated and up here that they've forgotten what's at the bottom, rocking the boat. And what is usually rocking the boat is insecurity in their partnership. Because some agreement has either been broken that they have been unaware of, or it is that you know, when a relationship is good, we are like in a kind of a couple bubble, to use Stan Tatkin's word, Stan Tatkin's term. And when these third entities kind of break into that bubble and create a wedge, so then one partner or both partners turn away from the relationship. And that turning away from the relationship for whatever reason is what causes distress in the relationship. So repair usually means coming back together, face to face, eye to eye, and being able to say, and when this happens, this is what happens to me.
So it's kind of being honest with yourself as well about your feelings.
Absolutely, and sometimes that is one of the hardest conversations you can have, because you're really literally leveling with each other.
But does that not open you up to a certain amount of vulnerability?
Absolutely, because you feel naked, you know, with being able to speak your truth in that way. And oftentimes in India, we don't grow up in an environment where you talk that kind of truth. Right? You know, we're often told, you know, keep your feelings, you know, to yourself. You don't want to
Broadcast.
You don't want to broadcast your feelings, and which is also a barrier for us in accessing therapy, because now this third person from outside is going to come and listen to your problems, and there's a level of shame that's attached to it. And at the same time, you know, being able to effect a repair is about promoting relational health. So if you're on the side of, so we don't have a problem going to a doctor about our physical health, but we end up having a problem because of our various taboos about going to a relationship doctor to work on our relational health. And it's about ultimately our relational and emotional health, because that has a direct impact on the family members closest to us.
And also your physical health.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because they did a study where they talked to persons who had had a heart attack, and the persons who healed the quickest are the ones who had a good, you know, committed relationship, intimate relationship, are the ones who heal the fastest.
And also emotional trauma or distress causes a lot of stress. Absolutely. And hypertension, diabetes, various nephropathies and neuropathies, autoimmune disorders, yes. Everything is related to emotional stress and well-being. So.
Right. And so the data about what Madhu is just saying is unequivocal. There is no doubt that it has a direct relationship to our physical health. our emotional health and our physical health are inextricably interlinked.
And what are some of the steps other than talking with your partner, understanding where they're coming from? Do you get your children involved? Do you get them to kind of mediate?
Do not get your children to mediate.
I mean, it happens. A lot of times they're like, no, who's right? You be the judge.
Yeah, ultimately it's not about being right, because that's another pitfall. So in the example that we talked about earlier, where one person wants to save money and the other person wants to lead a good life now, they are not inherently wrong or bad points of view. There's nothing right or wrong about either of them. But to one person that feels right and the other person feels absolutely wrong. And so therefore you have a fight.
Right.
But really it's about, as a marital, or not marital, but in terms of a committed relationship, what are your shared dreams and aspirations for your family?
And what happens if you come to the age of 60, you retire, and you find out we never shared the same aspirations?
So then you take a look at that. It doesn't have to be a point of, oh my God, all hell has broken loose, but rather that, gosh, we took this long to have this conversation, but why not? It's never too late. Sometimes that's another thing that I feel like we might have as Indians is, you want to do everything kind of by a formula, so that by the time you're at your empty nest years, you feel like, oh, the boat's come and gone. And the boat never comes and goes. You can keep on arriving throughout your life. It's never too late. It's never too late to focus on your relational health. It's never too late to have the conversations about shared dreams and aspirations. It's never too late to involve your children with your financial planning in your later years, because you want them involved with the kinds of decisions you want to make as a family about, including wealth management.
And also, since you brought up wealth management and children, where do your children-in-law, sons and daughters-in-law, fit into that picture, or do they?
And that's an individual decision, because again, what it also hinges on is the partnership's relational health, relational security, and the kind of relational security they have with their children. And so there is a trust quotient that's
and
there.
then the kind of relationship that children have with their spouses, and so on.
So it follows that when there is a secure relationship, and it is possible, it's never too late to have security in your relationship, your intimate partnership, at any time. So effecting that repair is the key ingredient to circle the wagon, so to speak, around your relational health and building that kind of attitude of trust, so that translates then to your children and your grandchildren and your children's spouses, who might be in the mix when you have the larger kind of family conversation about those shared dreams and aspirations, of which wealth management might be a part. So, did we answer your questions about relationship with partner?
I think so.
So, I want to kind of bring it full circle in the sense that video 2 and video 3 talked about self and other, and the two really just go together. We've kind of divided it as one or the other, but really the two go hand in hand and they kind of interweave. The more you take care of yourself, the more you are available for the other. The more you take care of the other, you also become available to take care of yourself. That you really have this kind of dual consciousness in the relationship that, is all ultimately about your individual and your relational health, both together.
And thank you, Dr. George, for joining us.
You're welcome.
This is a 3-part series. If you haven't caught part 1 and part 2, please do so. If you have any further questions, use the link below to send the blog some email, and we will be in contact with Dr. George later. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye. Take care.